The film begins in Afghanistan in a group of army convoys are on their way to help people. Whoever is locked on the road in a military man will leave. He curses because of this fatigue. And in another military service, they get angry and get into a fight, but it turns out that they just sisters hugging each other, and the eldest among them. He goes to solve the problem, and there his brother opens a topic. Apply for the Rangers Evaluation and Selection Program. The most difficult position in the entire army. His big brother is not. He is interested because the topic is very difficult and he says that he can apply if he wants, but he will get upset because they were planning to do all this together, and on behalf. It's hard for him to agree in the end. And then he is in the way back. A missile blows up a convoy and they are attacked. To attack immediately and everything explodes. The soldier excels. He finds himself completely alone. He finds his brother who he gradually dies before my eyes, and years pass. Regarding this incident, he takes sedative pills. For depression, the buses are now going to a center. Rangers rating. First of all, they all stand in class and they take their numbers and know the mission. Their own, and each class is assigned a leader, too. When the soldier comes looking for him, they see that she has refused medically 4 times before. Badola number and they ask him to remain the leader. But he refuses. Then all the soldiers, they gather and Serge Netras says a sermon about the process. Training will be for 8 weeks. It will be as difficult as a nightmare, if they can. When they reach the final stage, they will perform a simulation task for an hour known as a march. Death. This is the most difficult testing program in the army all over the world. If he is an enemy. From there, Rangers training has begun, and they do their best, and with an end. The first tour in NAS excludes the tour. The second one continues and ends, and more people refuse. And so on. The tours continue and it will be better. Much like the rest. Then tomorrow time. Number 7 sees, as he eats. They come alone and do more training and ask them all. Where were they distributed before? And why? Where does he hear you coming from? Everyone is looking at him with strange looks, and at lunch the rest talk. It has a number that tells them a story. At the same time, the news is broadcast. NASA saw planets passing by Earth. In the end, more soldiers are done. Exclude them. And again tomorrow the rest. Continue talking about and receive more information. He took the Silver Star. He was the survivor. The only one. The brother walked a mile to. Rule number. He asks curiously if this is the case. Really? But 7 people keep quiet. 15, he says. But he wants to know if he is the hero or not. No, and at night. 7 watches as he takes soothing pills. The next day it opens with him. Simple words too. Then the training remains. More difficult and more soldiers. They are still going out. He has nightmares about the tragic events that happened. It happened last week. The task is to walk under the water in very heavy swimming pool. El Care. He surrenders. But he continues while imagining his brother. But at the last moment he fails. They go up. They perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation on him. And fortunately, save him. One of the leaders says that a burden on them. Bischoff. Asteroid news that shows that they are not just one object, but a group of space objects. After that, they call the leaders and tell him he must resign immediately. He tries to object because they silence him and say that he is physically very strong and friendly. No problem, but his psychological state is not good. He doesn't talk to others. He prefers to avoid driving. They say that they can fire him, but they want him to resign by his own will, but he gets up and refuses. The show is polite and walking. Al-Qaeda is planning. They are doing something about this. Then in the last round they were excluded. They left and there were none of them and the rest. They all celebrate the mission. Al-Thani. Deposition determined the topography of the Earth for them. The experiment is a pilot. His plane crashed. They will return to Al-Qaeda, and they are fighting all the huge obstacles this time. They appoint him as team leader, and the soldiers. They go by helicopter, and the pilot is faithful. If he wanted to stay ranges, he must drive, and the helicopters are actually flying. It runs over the valley and the dense forest. They go down to the starting point. The team takes a moment. He sits in it and starts the mission in front of them. An hour until they finish it. He tries to say a sermon, but he can't, and the number 7 helps him. To motivate them, they go to the crash site and move away. In the middle of mountains and valleys, and night enters them. They are waiting for what has not happened to be destroyed, and 7. He asks if he can tell him anything. Personality, but he completely refuses and says that he will only talk about the mission, and that's it. The other is in need quickly and passes through the sky. The leader is supposed to do this as a disguise. Then he continues and walks, and the dawn is finally breaking for them. They reach the place they notice on the plain. The broken one, whose shape is developed and strong relative. For them, he plans, sets up explosives and they detonate them in order to. They turn out to be the hostage in the experiment. One of them, he says the compass is not working, and he notices. He also says that communications are cut off. Also, all we hear is a howling sound. Strange, they think this is part of the plan. The soldiers enter and place the explosives at the time. He notices something shining from afar. He asks for someone to cover him while he is going to explore. Explosives are placed and he reaches a place where he finds. In a destroyed plane, he realizes that she is. Their real goal is for the explosives to explode later. But the flying shock is intact and there is nothing wrong with it. Scratch, and quickly it begins to change gradually. And as it began to rise, a huge machine came out on. He looks like a robot, and immediately a laser appears. Blue scans them all, and at laser speed. It turns red and a soldier is determined to produce a weapon. And he hits. The soldier destroys the rest. Bimoto, they are also the number 7, he knows. He hides and then runs. The machine is determined, but it arrives on time. And save him. Then they run away immediately and run away. In the forest, the machine is still firing. They reach the hole and stop. But the machine throws. A bomb explodes and they fall and hit hard. In wood and stones. One of them, sharp wood penetrates his body and 7 of his legs are injured. Serious injury. When he sees the situation, he gets a flashback to what happened in Afghanistan. His fingers are broken, but he can get them back. Her place is running to one of the soldiers. He screams to silence them and they help the soldier. Those who pierced the wood and came out. From there, then he relaxes 7 in the everyone corner. We are in a state of shock and we don't know what this is. He discovers that they need the radio he had with him. He runs to get it and arrives. But the communication devices are destroyed. He sees. A soldier is still alive, crawling and seeing. As the machine approaches him, he points the laser at him. And they will destroy it immediately. The injured soldier is in critical condition. Very much so, and others are just trying to help him. He can't resist, he dies, he arrives. He runs and says they have to move now. The machine is chasing him, and what's wrong? Al-Haja. He has no idea, but he knows that the machine is moving behind. He teases them, throws a rope into the hole. Cool. One takes out his rope and they all come down. Behind each other and trying to help. 7, but he asks who. He continues, helping 7 slide down. 7 is sliding slowly, and at this time, they look at the compass and know that it is. The machine is standing behind me and exploding. War and 7 fall hard. He runs and writes now. He arrived in a war. In front of them, the machine slowly approaches the cliff. Then you wipe the area and they try to stick it in. Be as careful as they can to transgress. Gradually, all of them are on their side, but a man. The number of the afraid person is confused by Bigro. Immediately, the machine fires quickly and they pass by. In the forest, the machine changes its weapons and throws a group of explosives. They are trying to escape from her. As much as they can, they just keep getting affected. When the machine is removed by explosion, it returns its weapon. Makana. Then the soldiers deliver herbs to the area. Open, they all sit down to rest. He goes to treat a man who has a panic attack. Second, due to the shock after the accident, but 7 holds this in my hand and has confidence. He asks for morphine, but they find that it is all. It was broken by the accident. 7 are asked to work. This way, without morphine, it starts working and comes back. The bone in its place places a compressive ligament, but 7. He faints, ties him to a stretcher, and stays. Frustrated by all this because we don't know. They also call Al-Qaeda, and he reveals at that time that wasn't their goal. He saw the goal. It was just an old fighter plane, all they have to offer. What they are doing now is that they are crossing the area. And they reach the finish line for the whole team. Waiting for them says it's unlikely that in the finish line already, but I know. This is their only way to finish the bags they have. It's not necessary, and they continue and pass through the forest. Dense, and they reach the river. They are not strong on the one hand. He asks them to take out their ropes and says he will go the other way and tie the rope. He actually ties the rope and jumps in. The pilot prefers to push him with water, but it's him. He continues swimming and stays in his place. At this time, he quickly cannot see anywhere in fringe. Moments later, he finally comes out of the corner. The second one ties the rope to the trunk. A tree starts tying 7 people behind it. He slowly passes over the rope with a tooth, she said. 7 get stuck in a knot and 15 come back. He's trying to fix it, but it's one of the knots. It comes apart and 7 remain attached to the rope. He takes control, and he looks at rope and approach from the other side because the rest of the balance suffers to hold on. The rope is under pressure. They deliver the text and try. They raise 7, but at this moment the compass. It started to break down and the machine was about to identify the soldiers. They hold the rope and explode. They all fall into water. The pilot prefers to drag them to the cliff, and a man. It gets stuck in the rope. Then the machine comes down to the river and fire will strike them. It was a Hadis Ali, but he keeps cutting. The rope with its knife hits at the right time. Fire on him, but he can dive. He survives and sees 7 people floating far away. He follows him and knows what's wrong with him. They reach the cliff. Gradually, when he falls from the waterfall, he struggles to breathe. He grabs something old. Then the rest will be released, 7 of whom are still alive and well. A soldier was waiting at the finish line. Whoever helped save them tells them about the direction, the finish line, so he prepares to start the trip, and they see the head of one of the soldiers floating and continuing on their way. He arrives, and in the end, for the Bimlo Balago grass area, the leader's trap. They made a rope tied to the mission. Shula. He realizes that the base is very close. They walk to the base in the end, but it came out all destroyed. I feel like the machine is the one. I did that, but how can he be surprised? And she was behind him all the time, and they saw that the tower. It is a reality, and they know why communications were cut off. He examines the place and realizes that the machine. I came back from here, floundering in the mountain. Surely these are the asteroids of the news that were talking about her, and this thing is definitely not from planet Earth. Suddenly someone hears and the leader appears. He was burned, and almost died a little later, but he notices a tank and decides to fix it immediately. 15 people get nervous, and he says that not all people cold as him. He doesn't get tired because he's a hero. They are just ordinary people. This talk makes me angry. He runs towards him and says he is not a hero. He didn't catch up. He returns to the rule never. He is a FA in a hospital. Hua, your brother is dead. They told him he died far away. Yards, but from the base he was still alive. But he died because he lost consciousness, which says the matter. Now it no longer belongs to them. They must prepare the tank. This is done by any means, and they return to the starting point and warn everyone who's coming. He sees the condition of the tank while it is jammed and says the engine must start, which does not harm it. They come in and fix things for him. Tank experience. Finally, they tie her with a rope. They all pull and release all their strength. The other one comes out and finds some food. Inside too, I have 7 for the rest to carry. So they can enter it when the flame comes out behind them, and they realize that the machine is near. They enter quickly. The compass began to move quickly, and another flame is coming out. One of them sees that the tank has no ammunition and he runs because he answers little by little and finds little and sees the ground shaking. He runs, and the machine approaches them, but before he catches up, hits with fire, and ammunition is thrown away. Inside, but it's over. I step on gasoline, and the tank continues in the middle of the explosions. They prepared the ammunition and started hitting her. Bass. The bullets hit her and she rolls back. The tank is fast and everyone who answers is confused. The machine hits fire quickly and the fire holds. They put it out inside and the tank's armor is taken away. Very heavy hits, but the machine is fast. They walk quickly. Bass. He sees that she is calming down just to throw away explosives one after the other. Explosives are expected. In front of the tank and driving skillfully, and the other two. Inside the house, they knocked hard. The tank is moving. In the middle of the explosions, it also throws about water. A bomb is on their way. The tank flips over and falls. From the cliff, I try hard. An effort takes control of the tank. The rest are trying. Balanced. And gradually they settle down and are unable to do so. They see the machine, so I think they are. They preceded her, but she was already above them. She comes down in front of them, and this time she opens her face. A heavy beam of blue light appears, and the one who hits the laser hard. The tank is moving, and she tries to escape. Do they think he got angry? They come out. Weapons and they started hitting her. Wade, 1. Some of them throw bombs at her. Fire, but that didn't affect it at all, the tank. In the end, you destroy half a destruction, but the beating. I continue randomly, but the beating also comes. In the rocks on the side, he can't. He holds 7 more than that, and he slides. Beating. A bomb on the mountain next to it. The rocks fall on top of the machine, he asks. He who wraps himself, but sees that the tank died and exploded and he woke up. Injured. He sees that they are all dead. He reaches the rocks and goes out to find the machine. Her hand, but not the whole body, looks. He sees the machine behind him raising a beam of light into space. He hides behind a rock, and he realizes that she is trying to communicate with someone. Then he looks behind him and finds 7 running. He sees that he is still alive, so he tries. He wakes him up when he sees that the machine has stopped communicating. Then you scan the tank that fell, and by destroying it, it is slowly descending. He runs and pulls 7 and the world starts. It's raining, and when he remains in the mud forest, 7 slips and it remains difficult for him to complete more than. So, he was frustrated with the reinforcements on the ground. He feels like he failed again. 7 wakes up and reveals that he knew who he was a brother's friend. And all he was saying was that he wanted to stay. Ranger with his big brother, tried to tell him that, but he didn't want to talk. He says at the time that, I think if he reaches the finish line he might be able to. Sleeps. He thinks he let everyone down. Not just his brother. 7 tells him that he still hasn't given up and that's not it. Failure. They quickly see the machine. Wipe the area above them. We don't know what the issue is. Easy. But after he looks at her for a while, I notice that there is always smoke coming out of her head. Realizes that this is the ventilation system. And I notice he also has a construction plant and says he has a plan. He leaves 7 next to a tree and asks him to wait. He goes to the factory and goes to the engine room. And the light of light. He finds some dynamite and a gun. Schuler and finds the main control panel and turns on light bulbs but can't reach for a method by which the rock conveyor is controlled. Then I find a remote control that controls the rocks. And 7 people are listening while he is sleeping next to the tree. The machine is coming to cling to life, but he hits the torch and attracts attention. The machine, which goes to the factory gradually, the opening. She starts to look, she wipes the place and she I don't know if there is any dynamism involved. Underneath it explodes, and the machine falls and breaks in. The place is coming out of the garage with a bulldozer. What is Arabic that extinguishes the fire while it is floundering? In the bulldozer machine, with its taste, there is caution. Then he presses the button and rocks. She falls on her head. Then fire comes out, penetrating after her, and this time the bulldozer comes back. Laura slowly opens up when she reaches the void. Her face looks like it's going to get a blue laser. Bass. I immediately step on the gas and hit her. Again, be careful and the rocks will keep falling. And the ventilation opening begins to close gradually. The bulldozer is also starting to break down. Hooah. He can't take it anymore. But then, the hole was closed and the machine started to heat up. The machine started hitting random fire and hitting. There is a tower that falls above the bulldozer, but point in time, machine. It gets very hot and quickly explodes, then the machine. She falls dead slowly, but this makes her. Explosives fall into the fire. Quick, I'm going rock climbing. And put the place down. It all explodes, then in the morning he gets 7. He finds the base there, and the paramedics. They take him, he sees the whole place in chaos. And he meets the leader who tells him that these machines. Everywhere they eliminated the wave. First, but they are preparing for invasion, global, news. She says that machines have spread all over the world. Unfortunately, there are more on the way that we don't know. What do they want? Where are you not coming from? And the world. Everyone is preparing for war. The leader approaches him and says, these machines don't die easily, but they are. He is curious to know how he was able to fulfill it. He explains the situation to him on one note, and that they need to close the vent and it will suffocate. The leader says his information will save lives. Kathir, he says if he has it. He really wasn't ready. Finally, the leader gives him the ranger badge. And he says he is ready now. Later, they gather the soldiers and he gives them a sermon about how kill the machine alone. To motivate them, they all go to the plains to fight in the war that it was imposed on them. This is the end. The movie and we meet in a new summary. Thanks for watching.